it's going. Oh, there we go. There it is. Go ahead. Get us live there. Click the go live button. Yeah. There it is. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the FCIAC final for men's boys volleyball. We are here today at Stamford High School for the game, which is going to be the Staples Wreckers against the New Canaan Rams. The top seed for the FCIAC, which is Staples, and then the number 3 seed is New Canaan. I have here with me for the pregame show, Coach Austin Brown. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
How excited are you about this game?
I'm equal part excited and equal part nervous for these boys. They've worked hard all season, and it all comes down to this.
It does. And listen, you've played Division I volleyball. You've had your shares of big games. What can you recall that's going to be the most enjoyable thing for this guys taking the court today?
Volleyball is the teamwork aspect and the camaraderie of this game is really big. So win or lose, you do it as a team. And I think what's going to matter for this game, and what I remember, is can the team function as a strong single unit through the highs of the game? And there will certainly be highs for both teams, and through the lows. And can they keep that teamwork going, and that collaboration is really important for them.
Yeah, because you talked about, highs and lows. I always think that volleyball is a huge game of runs, right? You get in a rotation. And Pierce talked about that the interview, like one of the top players for Staples. He said that, they have a couple rotations, especially with Staples, that they really like it, and they seem to beat up. But how do you think those runs are going to be big, and who do you see that going?
Both of these teams are stacked with offensive weapons at all points of the net, on the right side, in the middle, on the outside. But there are a few rotations where they are stronger, and there are a few servers who are stronger. Yeah. So if you can get out of a difficult situation, serve tough, get those 4 or 5 point service runs. I think in the semifinal we were down 5 or 6 points in 2 sets. Pierce went back, served 7 or 8 times, some tough ones, some aces, got us right back into it. So yeah, getting that momentum going, and not giving up and not getting your body language down when the momentum goes the other way is really important.
Yeah, and let's talk about the road to get here. Right, let's start with Staples, the team you and I have been following for quite some time together. They started the season off with a 5-set loss to Barlow.
Yeah, tough one.
And then a really tough one. They were up 16-11 into that third set, up 2 sets, and it dropped that. But other than that, against the what I consider the big 3 teams, which is New Canaan, Trumbull, and Stamford, we were Staples was 3-1.
Yep.
But a very solid season around. How did you view this season on the road to get here?
I think they're playing their best volleyball every week. I think it gets better and better. We're getting consistently strong performance from the outside hitters. Those are the 2 senior captains, and we knew what they were going to bring this year. Yeah. They've done it for the last couple of years, so that's no surprise. What has surprised me positively is the setting is particularly strong this year. Setting is more of an offensive threat, so he's dumping now and then. He's being a lot more aggressive, and the work from the middles has been very good. And then the big surprise has been Ryan Sow on the right side, who was a varsity tennis player until a year ago, has showed up, just a phenomenal athlete, great defensive ability in the back row. So I think they're getting better each week that it goes forward. Let's hope that today continues that trend.
Yeah, and so New Canaan's road to get here, they were a team that basically had 0 FCIAC losses until they faced Staples. They played the same type of schedule. They played a different schedule early in the season. They didn't get to play Shelton and Barlow, which Staples did.
Yep.
So they got into that run early on, and they made it all the way to that last regular season game without losing a game, and then came into Staples, won the first set, the records turned around. But in your view, how has that team performed this year on their road to get here?
I stayed to watch the other semifinal on Tuesday night. So they went to 5. They went to extra points against Trumbull. So they could be a little bit tired coming into this one. But likewise, they have a few consistent weapons. They have Nolan McLaughlin on the outside, who I know very well. I've coached him for a couple of years. Dylan Ho is a setter, is arguably one of the best setters in the state. If they can continue to gel, integrate the middle, much like we've done, they're also a really good team.
Listen, I think we're in for a very good final. A tight game. Maybe not in the score, but I think every set's going to be tight. I don't see anybody running away with a set. So let's talk a little bit about Staples individually. I don't think there's anywhere we can start, and I know it's difficult for you to talk, but let's talk about Pierce Brown. Pierce has been, he's been the pillar for this team for 3 years now. I look at the, what I call, the core kind of that state has been together for 3 years, which is Pierce Brown, Sawyer Mack, O'Brien Davino. They've played together for 3 years now.
Yep.
They get into the FCI. They played together on a 3-12 season to now being literally one game away from the FCIAC championship.
Yep.
How do you feel? And let's start with Pierce first. These years playing.
I think we go back even further, and they've not just played 3 years at Staples. These kids played U15 club together.
And you coached them.
Which I coached.
All three
back
of them.
Back when they were in 9th grade.
Yeah.
10th grade, Sawyer joined that team. Then we had Stout and Jax have also played at the club. Plus Ryan played this year. So that the core has always been there, and now we have a great libero and Jax Rosenberg getting added. Stout has really upped his game in the middle.
Yeah.
So,
and Stout was a kid who was playing basketball and came over to volleyball.
And he's one of the best middles in the FCIAC.
No doubt about
great
it.
attitude, spark plug for the team.
Yeah,
so if you want me to talk about Pierce specifically, Pierce has a I will not lose attitude. Losing hurts more than winning feels good, and he will sacrifice his body. He's got a torn labrum. You'll see he's got his shoulder all taped up. That's been the case for a couple of years, and that's a surgery you need to take 10 months out for. So he's not been willing to do it because he doesn't want to miss his season.
Yeah.
So,
and it speaks volume. And I see a lot of times, and it's like, they come off a timeout, and he kind of gathers the team out, and we're not talking whatever's said in a timeout, he comes out, he gathers the team, calms everybody down, and it's such a calming force in there. But he's been a pillar to this team.
Yep.
Right? I mean, when we need a big kill, we know where we're going.
He certainly expects excellence from himself, and I think what's changed this year is he expects it from everybody else, and they've bought into that. There's no more laugh and giggle it off when you make a mistake. Let's play good, clean, perfect execution volleyball, pass set, hit.
100%. And listen, you talked about the setting this year. How has it been? So let's talk a little bit about Brian. Before New Canaan, you came to me after the game.
Yeah.
And you said, listen, it was a good game.
Brian's been a real positive surprise to the team this year. Not that he wasn't great in prior years, but I think this year he has elevated his game, not just in his setting skills, but let's talk about his blocking. I think he's the leading blocker on the team. And also his aggressiveness on offense. So a tight set, he'll be happy to go up and throw that down with two hands or one hand. He's got a great serve, a stinger of a float serve. Other teams seem to struggle with. So again, volleyball is not a game where you can have one player take over. You can have one guy who can drive an offense, but you need this great cast all around you. And some days it's going to be an outside hitter or a middle blocker or somebody else, but Brian's been there every time, and I think he's done really well.
I'm going to touch a memory. You told me something in the beginning of the season. You said that the marriage between a setter and a middle has to be really, really good, right?
It is a marriage.
Right, it's a marriage.
You got to work on it, and you got to be able to read those subtle non-verbal clues, like when you're talking to your wife or your spouse. You got to be able to know where they are, when they're coming, what speed they're at, how high they want the ball. If it's not a great pass, are you going to run an audible? There's a lot to it. And then also when we're in a rotation where the setter's in the front, the setter and the middle are blocking side by side. So they also have to have that good tandem relationship to get out to block the outside hitter, which in today is going to be Nolan, who's a phenomenal outside hitter, touches 11 feet high, hits the ball as hard as anyone I've ever seen.
He does,
and Cy, who's also a very good hitter, not a club volleyball player, but still a wickedly offensive threat.
Yeah, and the play of our middles. I mean, Braden's first year was sitting in play, right? He comes out of nowhere, and then you have Stout, like you said. But how important is it to have that strong middle game?
I mean, without it, your outside hitters don't do as well because the block can just set up and get a double or triple block on your outside hitter every time. So while the middle blocker might only get around 20% of the sets, your outside hitter might get 40, 45. Your middle blocker might get 20, 25. And then your right side or your setter or a D-ball to the back row might get the remainder. So middle is, call it 1 out of 5 sets. But if you are not feeding them consistently, and if they're not performing well, the blockers have that opportunity to get out and camp on your outside, which is your main threat. So you really, Pierce has benefited from Stout being so good this year because he's often going up against one block or a late middle block, so there's a big seam between the two, and Pierce can just rip it down that seam.
Yeah, and as soon as you say that, I remember sophomore year where we really didn't have a middle game, and it was always, and Pierce would get this high sets. He'd go up against 3 guys at a time, and it was very difficult, very difficult.
Yeah.
Now, let's switch gears a little bit to talk about New Canaan.
Yep.
So talk about the strengths of that team. What are we going to see from them, and how are they going to attack the record today?
I think one of the strengths of New Canaan is their depth. They have a good feeder system with the JV team, has a lot of kids. I'm looking at their roster here. They've got about 8 or 9 seniors, another 7 or 8 juniors, plus a bunch of kids that are JV that could come up. So they're constantly refreshing talent with the next generation that comes up. And that's something Staples has lacked a little bit. And I mean, we've talked about this privately, but it's partly rugby, it's partly lacrosse, both fun sports. Both have taken a lot of that athletic talent that would have showed up to volleyball tryouts, and they've gone to play rugby or lacrosse. I think, based on the success of Staples volleyball this year, you'll get a few more kids show up and go, hey, I want to be on a winning team. I want to be on a winning program.
100%,
I want to go play volleyball. So I think that will help. But when it comes to New Canaan, what do we have? We got some great outside hitters. Their middles are very good. You have Zane Tiku, who I coached this year, and Stephen Brown, who I also coached a little bit this year.
So before I keep going, you coach, I think we were talking before, 9 out of 11 or something like that?
I think of the 14 starters in this game, I've coached 6 out of 7 on Staples. Everyone except Braden, who's new to the school and new to the area. And on New Canaan, I think, I've coached 4 or 5 of their starters as well.
It's insane, yeah.
I know these guys well. I hope they all play well. I'm obviously biased. I want my son to perform well, and I want him to win because that matters a lot to him. But at the end of the day, I want to see good volleyball. I want to see clean play. I don't mind a little bit of chirpiness under the net. I think it adds to the passion. You know, these kids want to win, and they're passionate, and they're excitable. I don't want to see any injuries. I want to see everybody walk away with a healthy ankle. And just good, clean volleyball. It's good for the game. It grows the sport. And, you know, I'm just excited.
And then now, we were talking about New Canaan. Who are their leaders? You know, I know you did some research on them. You've been following them.
Yep.
You know, kills and stuff like that. Who are we going to see the real performance?
I mean, with Staples, Staples has a good group of juniors. You've got Jax, you've got Stout, you've got Penn, you've got Gael, a couple kids who are injured who will come back next year. But it's a senior-heavy team.
Right.
You know, Pearson, Sawyer, and Brian, and Ryan. So that's 4 out of our 7 starters right there. While New Canaan is very junior-heavy, and some of their leaderships come from their juniors. So Dylan Ho is their setter, who's, again, one of the best setters in the state. Right. Also very aggressive. Not very big, but he plays like he's about 6'3", despite the fact that he's probably only, 5'10". Nolan McLaughlin is their outside hitter, number 18. Nolan's got one of the hardest arm swings I've seen in a long time, jumps really high. Underrated passing performance. He's a great passer. And then good middles. So
it's gonna be a tough
and good right sides. Donovan on the right side is a big athletic kid, and it wouldn't surprise me if he goes off for 8-10 kills in a match.
Yeah, and we talked about those numbers. Brought me to take a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Sawyer. Right, a season where he got hurt. The one game that Pierce didn't go, the Trumbull game, non-FCIAC Trumbull game, because Staples defeated Trumbull in the FCIAC, but they had a non-FCIAC game where Pierce wasn't here, and Sawyer goes down. He stays out, and he's missed about I want to say 5 of the 22 games we've had. Yeah. But how do you talk about him as a player and the bounce back that he's had after withstanding that injury senior year and kind of staying with it?
For much of volleyball, it's a confidence thing. You know, to steal a line from Ted Lasso, you have to be a goldfish. Yeah. And when you make a mistake, you got to get the next serve comes in and just keep playing. Forget about what happened. Confidence is really important. And Sawyer has had moments where he lacks confidence. And I have always tried to tell him, you're a dog, go do what you can do. You can hit with anybody, you can block with anyone, serve with anyone, pass with them. And I think his serving, he came back as a server, and his serving was phenomenal. And you could see that bring his confidence level back up. And the last few games on offense, he's been the old Sawyer that we love, that we need on this team.
Yeah, because you talked about his serve, and I think in the first semifinal we interviewed him, we talked about it, and I said his service this year has been totally different. We have, accurate. I mean, it's a topper. It's everything you want in a serve.
Yep. So a lot of work for these boys gets done in the off season. You know, they play club, which starts mid-October. It goes until high school season begins, and then in 2 weeks' time we'll be back at the club training for nationals. So the work that they have done with their coaches, and for Sawyer, it was Jacob Butkus, who was a Staples coach long ago. And also Kyler, who's from Chicago Loyola, and Austin Buchanan, who plays at Sacred Heart. Those coaches have taken Pierce and Sawyer and really turned them into weapons on the serve, on the offense, on passing, and everything. So full credit to all these kids, club coaches. They have continued to accelerate their performance.
Yeah, and I think it's like, you talked about club, and I want to touch on that because we were talking beforehand, you and I. And I feel like the work that Northeast and other clubs around the area, like Mizuno and whatever club you might choose to play, they are the key to continue the sport to grow. In volleyball, I mean, it's a sport that's growing more and more. We see it, right? But how key do you think it's going to be in the next few years, the integration of the clubs within the high school?
It would be great to see it. I think the girls' side does a better job at that, getting the high school players more involved with clubs. But if we can start to get some of the clubs more involved with high school programs, it will just grow the game. It'll grow boys' sports. It'll be great.
Because it's I feel like volleyball is so exciting because you're in the gym and every point can be so exciting. You know, it's great. I'm very biased. I grew up in Brazil, so I love the sport. I know you're from Canada, so you love the sport as well. Okay, so let's talk about the game today. We've talked about it. Give me I'm not asking for a prediction because you know where both of our hearts are. But how do you see this game playing out? What do you think will be let's just start. What's the key to Staples to win this game?
The key for either side to win this game, at this level of play, is to make fewer errors than the other team. We're at a threshold of quality of volleyball, height of attack, aggression of these athletes, where the number of kills is starting to exceed the number of errors. But at a lower level, it's just whoever makes the least errors wins. It's like in tennis. So you make unforced errors, you're going to win. So game to 25, in a typical boys varsity high school game, a team might earn, call it 7 or 8 points from the other side's errors, which means you're only having to earn 15, 16, 17 points. Okay? So the other team is giving you a third of your total points required, whether that's from hitting the ball out, missing serves, double touches, net violations, or getting blocked. Okay? So of those call it 8 errors per set, means that you have to earn 15 on your own.
Right.
For every error that you don't commit, that other team's got to go earn another one. So I think whoever makes the fewest errors and plays the cleanest volleyball, I'm always an advocate of play clean volleyball. Don't do stupid shit. Don't do stupid things if you don't need to. They're going to win the game.
They're going, All right. Then, after all is said and done, when you look at both of these teams, how proud are you of this program?
I'm phenomenally proud, and I know we're running out of time, but I think we should talk about the student part of the student athletes. Looking at the seniors here, where the schools they're going to, whether it's Northeastern for your son or my son's going to Queens. There's kids going to Stevens and UConn and Purdue. One of the New Canaan kids is going to West Point Academy. There's a few going to Indiana University, Penn State, Fairfield University, Pace University.
It's amazing.
We got to give these kids credits. They're more than just athletes.
They're out here. They're practicing every day. They're doing all this stuff.
They're doing APs. They're doing exams.
And they're still performing.
It's amazing.
Remember that Darien game where Pierce was like, I think it was, wasn't it an SAT test? And you guys showed up like halfway. I mean, we've got the stories. Jax this year showed up late to the game, right?
SAT test.
I mean, it's like, so they're managing so many things, right?
I'm super proud of these kids and all that they accomplish.
We're live here, so this ball's going to show up.
All they accomplish on the court, off the court, I'm proud of them all. What's it going to take for Staples to win? I think all our boys need to show up, bring their A game, play well, play low error volleyball. I mean, we're the #1 seed. I think we should have this.
I appreciate that. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Coach Brown, thanks so much for being on the show with us.
And thanks, Steve, for everything he does with Prep Zone. We all love it.
I appreciate it. If you're watching us on Instagram or YouTube, you want to check out the game, it's going to be on Local Live. The link is in just go to our store, you see it. And if you're on Local Live, I'm going to kick you upstairs so you can watch the game. Everyone, enjoy the game, and we'll see you guys later.
Go Staples.